What's going on, everybody? FYB presents Wise Word Wednesdays, a quick live stream to help you get closer to accomplishing your dreams. I'm your host, Joe Spider, and I do represent the Fresh. I want to say thank you to everybody who's taken time out of their day to listen to today's Wise Word or to watch it, whether you're watching on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Instagram Live, or if you're watching on Twitch. This is the first time I've ever streamed on Twitch, so I'm super excited. So shout out to anybody who's checking it out there, or whether you're watching the record version. I still want to say thank you, because you could be doing anything in the world with your time, but you're choosing to commit some time to listening to this great conversation. So I appreciate you. If you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe to the Wise Word Wednesday show. I have a lot of cool episodes coming up, including what's happening tonight. But there's a lot more cool episodes happening in the future. So please hit that subscribe button so that way you get a notification about when we're going live. This month is going to be a very busy month with a bunch of widely different conversations, but I think all are super important. So I appreciate that if you hit that like button and that subscribe button. The other thing I do want to make sure that I address is I want to say thank you to everybody who's been reaching out and sending, prayers and things like that. For those of you who don't know, my cousin Kenny was shot 5 times this weekend in Oakland. And so I went down to Oakland to see him in the hospital. He's in good spirits. And he's recovering. He still has a bullet that is, still attached to his spine. And so he has to have surgery to have that removed. But he's in good spirits and he's doing well. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's been reaching out, man. I appreciate the love and support. Kenny definitely appreciates the love and support. And, if you know Kenny, he's going to be back smiling and shining in no time, and so, it's haters everywhere. But at the end of the day, God had his hand around him, and, he's recovering, and his family is in good spirits. We're still waiting for that surgery to happen, but once it does, he'll be, hopefully everything will be great. But I still want to say thank you to everybody that's been reaching out and sending love and prayers and support, and keep praying, because he will have a different transition in regards to recovery at that time. But I do want to say again, thank you for those that are watching. I have a really, really dope episode that's happening today. Tonight we have somebody that I'm super close with. This is sis that I'm teaming up with tonight. And so those of you who have been just familiar with Wise Word Wednesdays, familiar with the FYB movement and things like that, you know what the deal is. You know what's happening. You've seen her all around. I do want to say shout out to Peaches, shout out to LeAngel, shout out to Brooke, shout out to Trey. They're already in the Instagram chat, already showing love. So appreciate all y'all. Shout out to Hair Slayer. Thank you for joining the Instagram live. Make sure y'all go over to YouTube live, so when you comment, we can actually post your comments on the YouTube page. But for y'all that are familiar, you already know who this person is. Somebody who's super dope, near and dear to my heart, family. We've collaborated. She's been a host on another podcast. We had numerous conversations that have been super dope for the community, super dope for our own personal growth as individuals. And she is somebody who really is not just about the talk, but more so about the walk. You know what I mean? I know that people who follow her, you've seen it in action, but as much as she posts, which isn't even that much, she does way more work outside of the posts. You know what I mean? I think that it's important for people to recognize that the few little things that she posts, the little gems she posts on social media, that is not even remotely close to the work that she's been doing over the years and will continue to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing up my sis, Maya Ellen. What's going on?
What's poppin', family? How are you doing?
No doubt. Solid, man. Thank you for being. Wait, hold on. Dang, I forgot. Where's my sounds at? I don't know. StreamYard didn't update it, so I forgot my sounds. But here we go. There we go. Get you here. No doubt. So first off, how are you feeling, Maya?
I'm feeling good. It's full circle moment. So first, thank you for just the kind words. Definitely go way back, and so it feels good to be doing this, and hopefully contribute some real gems in conversation with you. So I'm looking forward to it for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. So first and foremost, right, the conversation that we had, I titled this "Enough with the Gender Wars," right? I
Hmm.
think, and this title stemmed from a post you had on your story, really kind of talking about this, like the gender war conversation. But first and foremost, what are your thoughts on the gender wars in general?
Hmm. Great question. I think the gender wars that are going on now are a testament to just like, having the historical context of the relationship between men and women, let alone black men and women. And so, yeah, what we're experiencing today are kind of like these side effects of things that have been long-standing, especially in the US, but you could find it throughout the world. In regards to the dysfunction, the lack of information or psychoeducation around the things that we do and how it impacts other people. And so, yeah, gender wars, like it's a newer term, but it's ancient though when it comes to the wars that's been done on our communities.
Got you, got you. And by the way, we didn't. There's no pre questions. We didn't go over no questions in advance or nothing like that. What you're getting is real, authentic. Comes off the top of my head. I'm asking. She answers off the top of her head as well too, with her experience and knowledge and wisdom. And so, where do you think, from your perspective, right? Like, where do you think this whole gender war conversation started? Because I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
Yeah. Just with trying to have a pulse on what people are talking about, both in the community, both online. I feel like it's definitely connected to when we were talking about what it means to be a high level woman or man. I feel like
Mm,
that trend, um, his name is slipping my mind, Kevin Samuels,
mhm,
right? Post his departure, right, it became even bigger than what it was while he was doing his lives and whatnot. But it was a conversation, these red pill conversations, what I've heard them be titled as, right? Where there's a lot of conversation about what a man should be doing and what a woman should be doing.
mm.
And then it gets, beyond the lives or beyond the video content. It gets perpetuated in our music. It gets perpetuated in so many other areas of our lives that we don't even really notice it.
Got you. Okay, okay. I think it actually started long before Kevin Samuels. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, where do you pinpoint it at when it comes to gender? Yeah, the gender wars.
I think it started in the 60s and 70s.
Okay, that's where
Personally,
you're gonna put. Okay, okay, I can get with that. I
you know
get
what I
what you're
mean.
saying
I,
now.
I think now the conversation obviously started getting more crazy. Post Kevin Samuels for sure. Like
Yeah.
I think him plus the pandemic really like heightened everything, right? Like it gave
Mm-hmm.
certain people, the confidence to start speaking out on some things that they might have already felt, right? Like
Yes.
they like this is more just like putting a magnifying glass on something that was already there, but now everybody can see it a lot more, right? So, but I think the origins of it, I kind of think back to that conversation between Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin, right? Like even so far back then, where they were having the dialogue about the, especially specifically, I'm going to talk specifically about the black community, right? Because we know that gender wars go for every community, but I'm talking about with the black community. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was even back then where they were recognizing, like, hey, there's this dynamic that you have when you're at work versus when you're here, and there's this expectation of what I'm supposed to be in society versus here. There's this expectation of what I'm supposed to be for you as a wife or as a husband. Like I think they started having the conversation there live, and I think that is what gave people the language to really articulate what they were already feeling inside, right? For the first time, like it was these prominent people in the Black community where they was like, oh, somebody gets what I'm feeling, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
say that for both sides, right? Both people made some really good points about the dynamics of the Black relationships within. So I think personally it started way back then, and
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I think during the pandemic, when Kevin Samuels and the emergence of Kevin Samuels, which is, I have another perspective about his take as well too, but the emergence of him is what really like gave all these other individuals like the, I don't know, like I said, the red pill community in the conversation. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, okay. I may have misunderstood your question. From my perspective, the conversation of it being more popular,
Okay, you're thinking I
like
talking about the population.
mainstream.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, but historically, oh yeah, we could take it way back. We could take it
Okay,
way, way back, even upon African enslaved people's arrival here, and
right.
what was intentionally done to disrupt the unionship between men and women. Oh,
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
no doubt. Okay. So let's talk about the new age gender wars that we have, right? Because like I said, it's from slavery till Reconstruction till Jim Crow, like there might have been this and to even to the civil rights movement, there might have been like this gap, but I think now it's starting to look like, and look like online, right? Because online is a very small depiction of what people are dealing with in their reality, right? It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that none of it exists, but it also doesn't mean that everything qualifies based on what you see online. But there's now this heightened awareness or heightened conversation about what the other person is or isn't, and what the other person is lacking or needs to be in order to catch this person, this exceptional person.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Like just I don't know, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. Man, like we're gonna get into it for sure. So I'm really
Yeah,
excited about this.
yeah,
But when I think about just taking a bird's eye view of it, right? It's been said from multiple revolutionaries, like you can't talk about like the elements of the community without understanding the things like where it actually comes from, right? We can't understand the behaviors of our people or certain things that are going on in our community if we don't understand some of the perpetrators of the violence, right? Of the brainwashing, of the propaganda that our people experience and why they start to form these beliefs. My background is in philosophy. My background is in philosophy with a concentration in ethics, politics, and law. So all we would do, over that time was go through multiple different theories. And all of these theories were around, Caucasian men ideology. And you see how it infiltrated so many lives and forms of education where we're rooting things back to, okay, who even developed these ideas to begin with, right? Like, why do you actually believe that? Some stuff has no scientific backing whatsoever, and yet people are still prone to believe things that they hear over and over again, right? And so when I think about taking that bird's eye view of it, it's like, okay, what things are happening on a systemic level, right? That is contributing to the education or really lack of education that we have about ourselves, about where we're from, about the interpersonal relationships, dynamics, and things that contribute to our relationships with one another. We don't really get much of that in regards to our basic education, K through 12. We don't talk about the psychoeducation around treatment of one another, things that have happened to you, being trauma informed, right? Like most people don't have a lot of that background education to understand how what has happened to them impacts how they show up in relationship. It's not separate. And I think that's where a lot of it comes from is we try to separate it, but it's not separate whatsoever. So if you're constantly being fed information about who you should be, what you should value, who you shouldn't value, what's not important, what is important, there's only a matter of time before it shows up in every part of your life. And so I think that's what I see when I'm looking at it from that scope is what is the education given, or lack of education given, around our perception of self, the things that impact us on a physical, mental, and emotional level. And I think once we can take that view, we can kind of get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, that's where this behavior comes from. This isn't an accident. Why we weren't given that basic information about ourselves, about our identity, and what we come from.
Yeah, you hit a lot of points there. And I do want to acknowledge the real Johnson on Instagram said manipulation and Willie Lynch letter. So I think right on point with what you were saying. Also, again, if you go to the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel, your comments can be shown on the screen so Maya can see them as well. But I'll keep reading them. But I think yeah, what you said is absolutely correct. I think social media, right? That plays a critical part as well. Before, I think it was just media, right? And I think that this is one of the things that like I've been able to witness firsthand, right? Growing up with and without a cell phone, right? Growing up with and without social media constantly being at my hip, right? Like I can see it at all times, but I also remember what it was like to go outside and kick it, like, and as a teenager and still not necessarily have access, right? But I think before, you only saw the perfect person on TV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had an idea that that perfect person was just represented on TV. It was like the TV world was a different thing. They were celebrities. They had a different, like, it was levels to it, right? It's like, yeah, if you become a
Yeah.
celebrity, then maybe you might meet one of those celebrity perfect people. But in reality, I'm just looking for somebody for me, right? Like that's the way the dynamic it was back then. But I think as in the early 2000s, we started to see this shift, and in the mid 2000s specifically, we started to see this shift where you had constant access to online. I remember the only time I would get on Facebook is when I went home on the computer, right? And like
Yeah.
now people are on Facebook 24/7. So because their access to the manipulation, because their access to what was told to them increased, now the level of expectation changed as well too. Before it was like, oh yeah, I want to be a rapper, but at the same time, like if I don't be a rapper, that's okay because most people don't become rappers.
Mm-hmm.
But as you start to get more access, then it's like, he's a rapper, he's a rapper, he's a rapper, he's a rapper, he's a rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And these is people I grew up with. So I could be a rapper too. Shout out to Reese. He's in the chat as well, too, with the fire emojis. He's,
Grace.
right, right. I could be a rapper too. Why not? So let me throw some bars together. And why, as a matter of fact, now I'm lacking because I'm not a rapper. Like
Mm.
I'm not enough because everybody's a rapper and I'm not rapping. Oh no, I have to rap now. And then now it's like the people who don't like who are dating rappers, when they see me and I'm not a rapper, they like, well, you not, where your bars at? Like where your top 20
Mhm.
song at? Where your dance song at? Like what is it? So I think it's the access of media really shifted um our ability to assess what's real or not. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Before, you knew that when you saw Flavor of Love, you knew that was a television show. You
Yeah.
was like, I'm not tripping off of if I don't meet New York in person or a girl like New York in person because that's TV. But what
Mhm.
happens when TV is 24/7?
Yes.
Now everybody's a Flavor of Love. Everybody's
Right.
New York, right? So I feel like that's just examples of some of the things you were talking about.
Yes, the average person's life becomes the entertainment. You know what I mean?
Yes.
People put their lives on social media, parts of their, let's say parts of their lives, right? On social media, and that becomes a form of entertainment that people consume all of the time. And it becomes a representation of how they're even judging themselves or what they think the standard is, right? Especially if that person that they are, quote unquote, idolizing is getting attention, they get money, they get whatever it is. They will start to naturally be like, well, maybe I should be doing that. When really, it's like it is a fallacy to think that our sample size is good enough when we're talking about the world, right? Like we
Right.
don't have a lot of that, some of those basic understandings down. And it's no shot to people. It's just not a part of our education structure in the US. but your sample size is really small when you think about it. So when people make these really hasty generalizations, they're doing it off of incredibly small sample size that they think reflects the world. And that's where it comes down to, where you have a lot of the academics will come in and be like, okay, this does not represent, an entire population or demographic the way that you think that it does. But because you see the numbers behind it, right, because you see all the people in the comments, whether it be bots or real people, like, don't get me started about the bots.
Man.
All of that stuff can be fabricated, and so something that can look bigger, more popular than it actually is if you're looking at the data. So
Yeah, I believe the people who do research would say that your experience is statistically insignificant. Like to
yeah,
the rest of the world, right? There's over
yeah,
350 million people in America alone, and
mhm.
because you had two bad dates with a girl who misused you or didn't appreciate you, now all of a sudden women ain't shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's real. Like, it's real and it's dangerous, right? Because it's something that we're naturally prone to do as humans, right? Our experience informs our safety on a
Yeah.
very, basic level. When we were not as evolved as we are now, you being able to predict something off of your past experiences was your ability to pass on your DNA
Mhm.
ultimately. And so bringing that context in of like, okay, some of these things are about my personal experience, and yes, my personal experience should inform me in some ways, but it shouldn't inform me in all ways. And I think there's not enough checks and balances that people take self responsibility for, in order to be able to say like, okay, these are all my experiences, but again, like, the sample size is insignificant.
Absolutely. Shout out to Leanders 32. She said people and their anecdotal experiences. Absolutely, right? Like I can say that because I got an F from a professor, that doesn't mean that this professor is a bad professor, right? Like that doesn't mean that, and it doesn't mean that I'm a bad student, right? Like what
Right.
if that was just a class that I failed? And what if I was the only person in that class that failed, right? That there's a lot of things that go into that, right? But I think that a lot of us, what's up, Cuzzo? I see you out there on the IG. There's a lot of us out there that tend to use that, and it's like the part that I want to bring up as well too that you mentioned. I want to go back to is the bots, right? Like the bots, not only the bots, but social media preying on the fact that they know what keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
Not See, it used to be they would feed on what you like. So you hit a like button, they're like, "Oh, we know you like this. We'll feed you more of
Yeah.
this." They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Now they do it on how much time you've spent on a particular subject or particular kinds of content. So it
Right.
doesn't matter whether you like it or not. If you spend 7 seconds on something that's really dope, even if you liked it, but you spent 13 seconds on something that's terrible and you didn't like it, they're going to feed you more of the 13-second content than the seven
Right.
second content. And I think a lot of times that causes people to get into these echo chambers of people who believe exactly what it is that they believe. And then they're just constantly fed that. And they're like I know you've heard this plenty of times where people like it's all over social media. I don't know if you've seen it, and you'd be like, I've
Yeah.
never seen that in my life. I don't know
Never
what you're
seen
talking about.
it.
They're like, no, but
Not
it's
allowed.
everywhere. And you're like, nah, but I've never seen it. I don't get what you're saying. That's because people have begun to say what I see in my house,
Mhm.
everybody sees in the world all the time. And
Right.
you're like, nah, bro, that's just in your crib. Like,
Yeah.
go outside, touch some dirt, right? Walk on grass a
Right.
little bit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Come on now. That's a fact. It is concerning on a whole other level, in combination with the type of technology that's being developed, right? To be able to really what I call like hacking humans. Like,
Mm,
we are being hacked actively. Even the technology that's being developed now, where it's actually able to monitor your facial expressions and gauge your emotions behind what it is you're viewing. And
mm.
people are like, those are things that are happening in the background that are not advertised, right? They're not open to the public as far as the technology goes. But all of it is being used to ultimately train the technology that they're developing in order to be able to have, I guess I would say, like a monopoly on your attention.
Absolutely. Absolutely 100% correct. And this is in super intentional. And again, they don't care if the content harms you. They don't care if the content harms your family, harms the dynamics of your relationships. They don't care. They just want you to keep being engaged because that's how they make their money. I do want to acknowledge a couple more comments. Daryl Johnson said, yeah, social algorithms is crazy. Plus, with the AI making it seem real, absolutely 100%. There was another comment from Reach 9733. Shout out to my OG Spot is in the building. He said, does educational level between genders play a part? Ooh, that's a good question. What's your thoughts on that?
Does educational levels between genders play a big part? Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Tell me more.
If you have people who are if you have people, let's say, let's play on this perception that women are more emotionally intelligent, right? We're not talking about whether it's true or false, guys. We're not talking about
Okay,
whether
we
that's
got it.
true or false.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that's a common thing that people believe, right? And
Mhm.
so say that is true, we go with that's true. And the reason is because they have a lot more psychoeducation around being able to understand their emotions, having the coping skills necessary to be able to to self-regulate, right? Having the language to be able to match that to what they're experiencing. That's going to come off as very intelligent. It's going to come off as more aware than the other gender. And so um, having different educational levels from gender to gender, I mean, education, or like, what are we talking? Are we talking formal education in the form of like institutions? Are we talking about self-education, right? All of those play a factor, because just because you have a college degree, even in the field of something that's deemed to be more to have more of a pulse on emotional intelligence, like psychology or things of the sort, doesn't mean you're automatically more intelligent than who someone with a biology degree. That doesn't mean that. And so I think we have to constantly challenge these beliefs that we have and say, like, does my argument even structurally make sense, and is there an argument that's stronger than that? Like, part of the background that I have on an education level is being able to argue. And so most of it was about, how do you check your own fallacies? Like, how do you check your own biases and be able to correct them and then present them in a way to where either they're flawless, right? Or they're better off than what they were before. Or you get rid of them altogether. There's been so many beliefs that I had to completely get rid of, because I was like, oh, that was not even, wasn't even a logical argument. It was based on things that I can't even prove, based on things that that were statistically false. There was evidence against it, and so people become so attached to their beliefs around that, around education and whatnot, that it does blur the lines on in regards to like how we're viewing one another. Education alone, uh, institutionally, doesn't equate to intelligence. And I think, yeah, I think the conversation around that is important as well, for sure.
Yeah, I oops, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who are educated say the stupidest shit. Like, just
Right.
you know what I mean?
Very
In
frank.
regards to the gender wars, like let's,
Yeah.
because I'm talking about specifically, like, not I've definitely heard them say stupid shit about other things for sure.
Yes.
But even in regards to gender wars, I don't know why people think, oh, because I have a PhD in sociology, that means I am the expert on relationships between men and women. That's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I'm sorry, like in sociology, they don't go this far in depth into the relationship experience. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
talking about something very differently. So I think that, and again, I think oftentimes when we present these super educated or academic people that are high up in academia, or these intellectual thoughtful folks that people have, right? Like, we present them as if they don't have any biases, right?
Right.
Like, as if they are their past is flawless and their experience is so vast that they can make the correct judgment every time, when in reality everybody has personal biases, everybody has what they believe to be true, right? And I
Mhm.
think the issue that I have is that these are the spokesman, right, for what a healthy relationship looks like. And I get frustrated because I'm like, one, where's your evidence? Right? Like that, like, where's your evidence of what a healthy relationship looks like? And
Yeah.
two, that's what worked for you.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is having this thing. I know you brought up earlier, in regards to like a valuable man or a valuable woman, right? Like everybody's talking about, this is what you have to do. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, but that's what works for you. There are people in this world who are dudes who are like, look, my girl bet not walk in that kitchen and cook nothing, because I
Mhm.
know how to cook real well and I want to do the cooking. And
Yeah.
there are some women in their relationship who is completely fine with that. And there are
Yeah.
some women who are like, honestly, I don't mind taking out the trash.
Mhm.
The trash needs to go. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna take it out. Like, so I think when people start to talk in these absolutes, and
Mhm.
even though they're talking about generalizations, right? Like, I think generalizations are cool to a certain extent until you start to make this the rule, until you start to make this the
Right.
definitive absolute rule. If you don't do this, then you're that. And I think that's the part that I get so frustrated with when I'm listening to people, even people in academia, people who are scholars. They're always like, I have the answer, I have the solution. Listen to me. I'm
Mhm.
the person that knows it all. And if you don't follow these instructions, your relationship is going to fail. And it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. That's a great point. And it's to what you're saying around the generalizations, putting something as a universal fact for any person, any community, any culture is just a mistake. Like we see that time and time again. We're not all the same, even though we have the same. We're from the same culture, background, and identity. Doesn't mean we have the same beliefs, feelings, right? Things that we're interested in or like, right? Like we're all different as human beings, and part of that understanding, I think, people don't have. But it's to me when I'm trying to uh when I'm trying to gauge, okay, what is actually happening, my theories are around the lack of accountability and self-work that people are neglecting.
Mm.
And yeah, there's no way around it. There's no way around it. And I'm not a person that believes that psychology has all the answers. I'm definitely a person that believes in having multiple disciplines to be able to understand the context around, individuals' lives, but also around like, larger demographics. But like you can't get away from the work, right? You can't get away from the work, and you definitely can't get away from having the political education to even understand the groups that you're trying to even diagnose or talk about. And I think that part is where people think it's optional. Like you don't have to think about the historical context of stuff. You don't have to think about the material conditions of your people in order to understand their behavior. And it's like that don't even make sense to me. But it's so neglected. People aren't reading as much, right? They're not reading the books, especially the people that we know and love on a revolutionary tip, that spent years and years and years of their lives developing these ideas, developing these theories, so that we can better understand ourselves, so we can better understand the position that we're in, and then better apply some of the solutions that they've already recommended to us. I just seen a post today, a shout out to Comrade Ryan. But part of that quote was that like the revolution is scientific, right? Like that, like, so you have to have a grasp on that, and you have to be willing to dedicate a lot of time to study, not just the to have the historical context, but to study yourself too, right? How many people actually want to do the work of going back into their trauma history, to go back
Oh,
into their
now.
families, diagnoses, material conditions, right? To even understand themselves and why they are the way they are, why they respond the way that they respond to different situations, different kinds of people, etc. Human beings all have some sort of trauma history, especially when you live in a neo-colonial, you feel me, framework. Especially for people who live in a country where capitalism is the standard of that economic structure we're all forced to operate under. That in and of itself is traumatic. And so to me, there's a lot of evidence to support that, but not a lot of people are actually doing doing the knowledge, what we like to call it, doing the knowledge to be able to have just a wider view. You're not going to get to some definite answer and be like, oh yeah, this is going to be the one thing that's going to work for all of our people, and everybody, once it clicks for them, everybody's going to be on board. I think that's too small-minded to try to diagnose people like that. But I think a great place to start is talking about what it does it look like to heal some of that trauma that we experience as individuals and then collectively, for sure.
Drop a bomb for you, you know what I'm saying? Drop a bomb for you real quick. You know what I mean? It was two dropping that knowledge. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. There was a comment left that said, is there a problem between genders when the woman makes more money than the man in the relationship? I have my answer on top of my head, but I want to see what you say first.
Is there a problem?
Is there a problem between genders when the woman makes more money than the man in the relationship?
That question is like a trick question. It's subjective to the relationship, right? If money is the thing that you care about as a man, and for you, it's within your value system that you have the most resources in that dynamic, it's gonna be a problem for you if the woman makes more money than you. You get what I'm saying? But ultimately, if you're in a relationship and that woman makes more money than you also made a choice to be with that woman that makes more money than you. And so that those problems are also self-inflicted partially. I think there are other things that can come up in relationship when it comes to that power struggle of who has the most resources, who makes the decisions, who doesn't make the decisions. And all of that to me should be done in-house in regards to what is our vision for our dynamic for our future. And if that is in alignment with that, right? One person wants to work, one person doesn't want to work. I think that should be up to those individuals. If you're having a power struggle within a relationship dynamic, and it's because somebody is the more dominant force in regards to the resources they have access to, there's more that should be even scaled back to be like, why is that something that they're imposing on you in your relationship? So yes and no. It can be a problem for some people. It could not be a problem for other people.
Again, more bombs being dropped again. The way that I would answer that,
yeah. What are your thoughts?
I'm warming back up to the sound effects. It's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? But my thoughts is this, right? I think that for the right person, it doesn't matter. To the right person, nothing matters. To the wrong person, everything does. So when I say that, what I mean is that I've seen with my own eyes, and I've been a part of this as well too, where when it's somebody that we like enough, we will make all the excuses for them. Doesn't matter what they could be broke, they could be stupid, they could be just a terrible partner, they could be anything. And if you like them enough, none of those things matter. You will continue to like or be with this person. But I've also seen, and again, been a part of, it doesn't matter what this other person does good. I don't like them enough. So no, it does. They could be richer. They could be better looking. They could be the smartest person in the world. None of that matters because I don't like them enough. So I think what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, Brooke said, broke, stupid, loser. Exactly. Right. Like it doesn't matter at the end of the day. When you like somebody, you're going to like them flaws and all. When you're genuinely choosing somebody, you're choosing the flaws and all. So this means if I make $2,000 a year and my girl makes $100,000 a year, if she likes me enough, that 2,000 don't mean nothing because she likes me for who I am. But like you said, if she really cares about money and doesn't like me enough, then Even if I made 100,000, she's still gonna be like, "That's all you got? Like, I got 100. Why you just got 100? You supposed to make more than me." And then if you
Yeah.
just making 105, that ain't enough. You need 150 to 200. Like, so that's what I'm saying. If they like you enough, there is no, like, people will overlook all that. But if they
Yeah.
don't, then they're gonna find every little thing. Oh, his beard ain't connecting. Like, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, oh, he don't have the newest shoes, or she, oh, hold up, what? Like, that's all she doing? Like, she don't even like go out. Like, she not even turned up like that. Like, oh, she don't even
Mhm.
know how to dance. Like, whatever it is, people will make up anything because they just don't like you enough. That's my answer to that. What you think?
I feel definitely am in agreement with when you like somebody and or you are insecure enough, you will settle
Mm-hmm.
for whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of that, I think settling has a largely negative connotation, right? But when you're saying, you know what, I have these expectations that I thought were super valuable to me, I've been presented with somebody who doesn't meet those things. So I'm going to remove some of those things that I thought I wanted because what I want more is this person. You know what I mean? And that's a form of settling in, right? Like you're actually deciding to compromise on some of those things that you held to a high value. Now, people can have their different judgments on that, but ultimately that should be that person's choice, right? And then same when it comes to not having self-respect, not having um, uh, um, enough perception on what is possible for you in a relationship, those will also contribute to the ways in which you will just go for whatever. So from, especially when we're talking about material conditions, something as that'll come and go as much as money does, I'm more concerned about why are we so worried about the material resources and not about what's up going on up here, because
Yeah.
those are a lot more embedded in a person that probably are going to be a really hard thing to change in comparison to this person's material conditions. We know that people's material conditions, especially when we're talking about in the Black community, okay, where there's so much more going on behind the scenes in regards to why people are struggling the way that they are, but that doesn't mean that means struggle for life. And I think your mindset, I think the things that you believe about yourself and the things that you're working on and putting energy towards will tell you that. They'll give you some good type of projection, right? To be like, actually, this person has all the skills, this person has all the knowledge, they got all the hustle. It's only a matter of time before they're materially successful, and it reflects that. That's personally how I view things in regards to that the financial piece of a relationship. But I think it's pretty shallow to judge a person on the material conditions and not of the actual spiritual conditions that they're in or the mental situation that they're in. I think it will always fall short when it comes to choosing the person that's meant for you when you're doing it on stuff that can come and go with ease and with like different situations, right?
Mm.
People lose jobs every day. Yeah, they were making 150, but they lost a job not because they were incapable, but because that position, that company did a whole cut. So now they're gonna have to go through a whole new process to get a new job, right? That still meets that material condition that was so important to you. And so I want to challenge people to think about, why do you even value these things, and are these things that this person is working towards, or are they, or is this a reflection of where somebody just plans on staying? Because that also should be able to inform your decision about who you're choosing to stand next to.
No doubt. 100%. 100%. I love it. Brooke said, I know this man did not just say 2K a year. I did. She said, don't know what she doing. She's just giving it out. um, okay, let me ask you this, because I do want to have a conversation about two different things that both I think are impacting the gender wars.
Mhm,
And we'll talk about our opinions on both of them. One
mhm,
is the late Kevin Samuels. And then two is uh, uh um two is tonight's conversation. So I don't know.
mhm.
Are you familiar with both of those? I know you talked about Kevin Samuels.
Yes. Tonight's
You are okay.
conversation. Yeah.
Okay. So which one do you want to talk about first? Because I
Start
got opinions on both.
start with Mr. Samuels.
Okay. So what Do you think Mr. Samuels, Kevin Samuels, RP to the Godfather, do you think he was a necessary evil?
A necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a great question. Do I think evil is necessary?
Mm.
For my belief, no,
That's
evil
the
is not
philosophic. That's the
necessary.
philosophical talking right there for
You
sure.
know,
But yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
but was he a catalyst for having these uncomfortable conversations, for addressing certain elements that our community is facing, certain things that both men and women need to take accountability for and be honest and real about? Absolutely, for sure. He was a part of being a catalyst for these conversations. So, are we better off because of the conversations that he was willing to have on the internet?
That's
I would say
debatable.
yes. I would say yeah.
Okay,
I
tell
would.
me why you think yes.
I didn't like a lot of the things that he used to say, and why did I like? I had to, take some. I had to do some intake of why don't I like what he's saying, and more so because of my mental health background, I realized that it was the way he was saying things, not what he was actually, getting at. I think that, you know, you can say something that's truthful and say something that will completely destroy someone's mental health, right? But for some people, they're like, well, it was the truth, right? Like we hear that often in our lives, where it's like, well, I'm just saying the truth, but the truth and the way that it's handed to somebody can make or break them. You know what I mean? And I think what is more in alignment with getting clicks and views is not necessarily what's in alignment with our mental health and what's best for nurturing and healing our community. That's my take on that. But was he spitting some bars? For sure. Was he saying stuff that people didn't want to address, that when they were coming on his show and asking for certain things, or requesting certain things, that he really let them have it for even asking for, or saying that they deserve, etc. Yeah, he did. And so that's my biggest judgment of him is, the ways that people become famous, that were around him saying, outlandish shit to people, right, that he claimed to care about, that he was saying it to be able to get closer to the truth, so that they, could just give it to him straight. I have a lot of pushback on stuff like that, but it's not just him. It's a lot of other people that say stuff that may be true, but the way that they're doing it, to me, causes more harm than healing.
Yeah, no, I feel that. You was definitely dropping some bars there, some gems. I think for me, I don't know if we're better yet because of the conversation. I think we will be in the future, but I
Yeah.
think right now we're still on that beginning stage of like just
Hmm.
scratching the surface. You know what I mean? I do think he was a necessary evil. Um, and I say that because a lot of people don't know this about Kevin Samuels, but like he started off critiquing men, right? Like he was really trying to try to help men be better, right? Better men for their communities. And what he was doing was like there'd be times where like I'll hear conversations from women and they'll be like, yeah, I was talking to this guy, or I was on a date with a guy and he did it, or he didn't have it, and I'm like, man, yeah, but how many guys out there are like that? Like, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like,
Hmm.
come on, right? And then when you start looking at, the old footage of Kevin Samuels, you're like he's talking to them dudes, exposing those dudes. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so um he put it into context that like, no, these women ain't tripping when they say it's dudes out here
Yeah.
working, like, or sitting in their mom's living rooms, like not working, but still
Right.
expecting a America's Next Top Model girl to just worship them because they said they wanted you, right? Like he made it a reality. And then on the other
Yeah.
side, and what actually got Kevin Samuels more famous was when he started critiquing like women, right? Like, so he then exposed, because there would be also conversations that some of my fellas would be having with other women, and we'd be like, no, you don't understand. Like, this woman was mad at me because, or tripping, saying I ain't nothing because she wanted somebody that made $400,000 a year. Like, and she
Yeah.
doesn't like that's her minimum standard. Like, if you don't make this amount of money, like, you're tripping. It was like, it's crazy because she only makes $25,000 a year. So I don't understand like why, right? But
Mhm.
because he was able to record that and show it to the public, now it became like, it's not just like, oh, this only happened to me. Like, these people actually exist. And again,
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're the majority, but for both sides it does.
Mhm.
There's That's not the majority, but I think he was able to give people an actual living example of people who have a particular mentality. Now, granted, again, if you study, if you learn and research, you recognize that these are still very small number of people, and these are people who follow his content. So these are still
Right.
people who have an interest already, a vested interest in the topic or the conversation. So more likely it was a heavily skewed audience and on
Yes.
both sides. But I think he still allowed other people to see this does exist somewhere else besides what I experienced with this one particular person.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I think he was definitely it was a lot of clickbaiting stuff, right? That was being said that became what people used to excuse some of their misogynistic, right, anti men beliefs. And that's where it's like you can do that with a bunch of different people, and it's like where do we draw the line in regards to that accountability or responsibility for the type of content we're putting out there, the way that we speak to people, how it impacts their mental health and all that good stuff. I don't think, people tell me like it's not that deep, right? And then when I'm dealing with some of the darkest sides of the effects with my clients of what does it look like when someone's being bullied on the internet, right? What does it look like when a man does not feel like he has any value, or his value is only in his material conditions? How does that show up in people and in their mind and in their behaviors? Um, it's not pretty, And so I think people will say it's not that deep because they don't have enough perspective to know what is the cause and effect of the things that we do and the things that we say. And so, yeah, he critiqued both men and women, everybody in between. And I think what became most popular is the way that people use those things to be like, aha, see, that's why they ain't shit, or that's why I don't fuck with X, Y, and Z. And again, like I said, people can use anything to validate some of their really disgusting beliefs ultimately.
Absolutely. I do want to acknowledge Anthony Brown 7061 said he made people have the necessary conversations. He did. He did cause people to have that conversation. And again, whether or not it's good or bad, we'll see in the future, right? I think
Hmm.
right now we're still, like I said, scratching the surface. I do think it's interesting that Brooke and the Real Johnson was having a conversation in the IG chat about each other, not about each other, but about the circumstances and the
Mm.
scenario, the fake scenarios that I brought up. But
Hmm.
but yes, he definitely well, then he said looks Anthony Brown 7061 said people use what's on the outside to validate the inside. And absolutely, and I think that's exactly what you were saying as well too, to a certain degree. So I think again we're just getting started in this gender wars conversation. To I think it's too early to determine whether or not he had a good or bad impact. I think right now it's like the bomb has recently gone off and there's still
Hmm.
particles in the air, but we don't know when. We haven't cleaned up everything and rebuilt yet, so we don't know if it was good or bad. Right now, I think it's a lot of people who probably listened or have heard his content, they probably think, oh no, he was bad, right? And I
Hmm.
will say this: I will never ever forgive the people who celebrated his death when he died,
Hmm.
but then mourned Jerry Springer when he died. I didn't
Hmm.
like that. And I'm talking about our people.
Yeah.
Our people did that.
Yeah.
Like a person, hate a person, whatever. When they die, they gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was so frustrated to see people celebrate the death of a black man and then mourn the death of a white man, by the way, who gained notoriety and popularity by disrespected and showing the disrespect and the the dysfunctionalism or dysfunction within certain Black families, and
Yeah.
getting heightened and getting popularity from that. I really, I didn't appreciate that at all. And again, whoever you liked or didn't like, it doesn't matter, right? I think it's just at the end of the day, one person served a purpose to destroy, the other person served a purpose to build. Now, how they did it, we can agree or disagree with whether or not it was the right or wrong place,
Right.
but you can clearly see that Jerry Springer is not a good person in what he
Mm.
did, especially, and he was a coward by the way that he died and left the note. I don't know if you knew about this, but when he actually ended up having two Black children
Mm.
and left them his money, and basically he told them, like, you all didn't know that I was your father because my wife found out that I had two black kids, and she basically said I had to disown you or she was going to divorce me. And so on his deathbed, basically he recorded a video that he presented to his then Black kids when he died and said, you can have my money and my inheritance, but I
Mm.
apologize. And he called himself a coward in that video. So I was like, oh, well, I already didn't like him, but I was like, that was a final straw. Oh, you
Yeah.
cat, you know what I'm saying? But that's
Yeah.
my opinion. I don't know if you want to have comment on anything I said.
Yeah. I mean, you said everything. You said it all. Um, these things are a reflection of what people give attention to, what they are celebrating, supporting, and not taking accountability for what that does. Right? Like if you're celebrating somebody like Jerry Springer, you probably don't understand the type of damage his platform did. You know what I mean? Like you're probably not even thinking that deep. And so I just be trying to treat it like that. Of like, oh, okay.
Mm,
So we not reading, right? So we not
yeah.
doing no any type of psychoeducation, any type of study to understand what does it look like when you have certain people who are not in the community exploit our community. And so yeah, that you said it all for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, let's go to the other person. Oh well, my bad. Hold on. First, we have another comment from Anthony Brown 7061. Appreciate you showing love in the comments too, Anthony. Thank you a lot. Said we still in the fallout. This whole thing began with the Me Too movement. Okay, with the Me Too movement, accountability for men inevitably became accountability for all. Jerry exploited the brokenness that this system caused. That is an interesting point, interesting perspective. What are your thoughts on that, Maya?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely are speaking to something to me important to talk about, Anthony, because the Me Too movement um really became really became a catalyst for calling people out publicly in a
Mm,
way we really haven't seen to this extent, especially when it comes to like domestic and sexual violence against women. And so, for sure, that was definitely a part of like the catalyst for these conversations, and it being ultimately leading to, well, now if we're gonna hold men accountable for X, Y, and Z, what about women, right? Like that became a topic of conversation too. What about the women who shoot, what about the women who don't let the father of their children not visit, their kids, that use or abuse the court system that works in their favor, right? What about the women who do X, Y, and Z? That became a larger conversation that started to come up of like, yeah, actually, we haven't really talked about that. And I think before we're trying to hold each other accountable, we're skipping a part. To me, that's super important. Is what are you accountable for? You know what I mean?
mhm.
It's so easy to have a conversation about celebrities, people who are in the public eye, etc., and not look at how do you perpetrate violence, dysfunction, exploitation in your communities and your friendships and your family, right? How does your lack of self-love, processing your trauma, how does that show up in how you treat people, how you're in relationship with people? We skip that part. It's like, no, 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 let's focus on this other person that we have no idea really who they are or what they were. And then we'd be surprised when the stories come out about these individuals that people held up to such high standards. We find out that they wasn't there for their kids, or they never, supported their families, or all of these things that come out eventually, because these are these are like caricatures, you know what I mean? Like these are things that are not real to people. But no, that's a real human being that we're giving so much power and so much energy towards that we don't have full context. So to me, it's always an unreliable thing to start with, you know, a lot of the famous people when it comes to accountability and not look at ourselves. That is just like, to me, when it comes to like the public platform of how we engage with content and things like that, that celebrity obsession that people have, um that comes first instead of looking in the mirror. And to me, that's our biggest downfall for sure.
No doubt. Yeah, I definitely agree with that, with everything you're saying, or everything you said. There's I do think the Me Too movement was super necessary to a certain degree, and critical and important, right? Like, because there are a lot of people, a lot of victims, right, who go, who basically suffer in silence, and this gave an opportunity to really empower those individuals to not suffer in silence, to be able to, like you said, call out individuals who really like committed these heinous things towards them, you know what I mean, and or to them. So I think it was necessary, but I do think there was also just like anything, there's also a group of people who manipulated and utilized that just to tear down, to build themselves up, or tear down someone that they just didn't like, right? And I think that's what we're seeing with the red pill movement, right? They're just tearing down individuals that they don't like, or that they just have a disdain for, and not because they dated this woman and all of a sudden the woman did them wrong, but really it's because like they're just a jerk, like, and the woman
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to give them none, or didn't want to really, be with them long term. Now they butt hurt, so now they going on the podcast talking about how all women ain't nothing, so I think there are people who take advantage of everything, including the Me Too movement, including the red pill conversation or community, as well. And then in the IG comments, the real Johnson said, with the Me Too movement, it makes men scared to approach or holler at a girl in some ways, and they wonder why dudes don't spit game no more. I think that's I'm not gonna say it was just the Me Too movement. I think there's a whole bunch of other things that caused that. I think the Me Too movement probably stopped dudes from trying to holler at girls at work, for sure, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
the Me Too movement
Yeah.
was like, nope, not gonna take, right. Like, they're not gonna take that
Real.
chance. Not about to call HR. It's good, right? But I think that I think there's other things as well that stop people from trying to holler. I think there's not just the Me Too movement, but it's like social media as a whole, right? Like, we've gone from a society that enjoys being in the company of others to a society that enjoys looking like they're important in the company of others, right? Like, I think, which is very different, right? So when you
For
enjoy
sure.
being in front of the company of others, you really, like, your goal is to get out and to meet the individuals, or and maybe not new people, even if it's to see the people that you know, right? Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
like, I want to be outside with them. These are my folks. These are my peoples. Just being in community is important. But when you enjoy looking like you're important to others, now it's, you stay over there, but
Yeah.
just recognize that I'm over here. And I think that creates a very different dynamic when you're talking about the whole trying to holler at a girl or trying to go up and approach a person. Now you feel like when you go up to this individual, you might be talked about, right? Like, in a
Mm-hmm.
negative way. You might be shunned, or you might be disrespected, or things like that. I think those more so had an impact to why dudes don't approach than the Me Too movement. I don't think people are worried about, like, if I talk to this girl at the club, she gonna say I tried to, sexually assault her. Like, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's more so like the embarrassment, the whether or not, I'm gonna be looked down on, whether she's gonna try to clown me, like she gonna say my shoes is ugly, like all these other things I think play such a significant part than the Me Too movement. But I do think the Me Too movement might have changed some of it, but I think that impacts more so like workplace environment and things like that than that. And Brooke said, motherfuckers want to record everything and everyone, for sure, definitely. I don't know if you want to add something to what I said though.
Yeah, because you're not getting away from that. Whatever you're putting out there may not land well for that other person. When we talk about like being trauma informed, right? Like you going over and trying to touch a lady's hip and bring her closer so that you can get closer to try to spit game at her. Probably, 10 years ago was not that big a deal. Today it's a big deal. Don't touch me. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so I think people are having a hard time adjusting that, oh, yeah, women are not these objects that you can touch and say whatever you want to without having some repercussions to it. And I think women have been more empowered to be able to speak up and be like, what are you doing trying to grab
Right.
me in scenarios like that? Or why would you even say that to me and think that I was going to be attracted to you or give you my number? And I think that part is where it's like, people don't want to be embarrassed, right? But really, what was the transitional, like what happened in that transition? Did you try to do some education, right? Did you speak? Are you in community with women? Have you been talking about and learning about the ways in which women want to be spoken to and approached, right? Like if men are still wanting to be the ones that are taking the lead on trying to approach a woman to take her on a date, to have an experience, etc., then learning what women are actually attracted to is really important. And so there was not much of a transition. There wasn't a nice warm handoff of like, okay, we've gotten away from certain things in regards to rape culture being ignored, right? Certain forms of harassment being ignored. Now somebody potentially could definitely blast you for doing what you've done that you probably didn't think was that big of a deal, but for that person it made them extremely uncomfortable. And so now, yeah, you making a mistake can be a public mistake. And so compared to saying, okay, maybe there's some things about me that I need to check in regards to my approach, people are just saying I don't want to deal with it at all. And so then where does that leave us? Where does that leave us in relationship with one another? And then also for women, where does that leave women? If women are getting more comfortable with having I would say negative
Defense.
reactions. You said what?
I said defending themselves.
Yeah. If women are getting more, more open and honest about defending themselves, about speaking up for themselves, about speaking up for their homegirl, right? We also, I think there's a way that we can meet in the middle more often. And what does it even look like to approach a person as a human being?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Compared to an object that you're looking to conquer, or you're looking to possess, right? And so you're not obligated to get my number just because you think I'm pretty. You get what I'm saying? I'm not obligated to entertain you in a nice conversation just because you want to talk to me at the bar or at a park or whatever. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of women can attest to what does it feel like to be bombarded publicly in a way from somebody you're not attracted to somebody who you don't want to approach you, and how unsafe do you feel? It's a rare occasion, and I'm just gonna be honest, it's a rare occasion for men to experience being afraid of women approaching them in public if she does it in a way that's aggressive or whatever. It's not likely that a man's gonna say, I'm scared for my safety if I tell this woman I don't want to give her my number, or I have a girl, or etc. Not to say that they don't experience violence, not to say that they don't or haven't experienced trauma at the hands of women, but that reality is more, that's women's reality, right? Women experience that on a whole new level. So yeah, the way that we're going to interact with each other publicly, it should be different. It should be more mindful of what is common for women to experience in the public eye, whether she's attractive or whether she's wearing something that exposes different parts of her body. What's the likelihood of somebody disrespecting her or approaching her in ways that she doesn't want to be approached compared to that happening to a man? And if we're not being mindful of that or having some type of empathy for that experience, I question whether we actually like the other gender. You know what I mean? Because in my opinion, if I like men, I want to do things that also is going to make that man feel good, respected, seen, and heard. And so there's a lot of women's experience that they speak out a lot about of, I don't actually feel seen or heard, even though this man is physically attracted to me. I know I
Yeah,
just went on a whole
absolutely.
tangent, but that
Nah,
question
that was necessary. That was necessary. And I think yeah, and I think the Me Too movement gave people the ability to see that they weren't alone in what they were experiencing. And oftentimes they recognized that other people had experienced the same issues with the same person. So that's why I think that movement was super important and critical and again, necessary. But like I said, I still don't think the Me Too movement was the reason people stop approaching women. Like I said, I think it's more so what you were talking about, what I was talking about, the way that women function and interact, that more so changed the dynamic of the men approaching women. It's like, again, a dude has to, you got to have your stuff together. You can't just say, yo, what's side, my, what's side, what you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
that changes, right? Like you have to approach, you got to come, which you got to come correct, right? Like you got to
Oh,
change the way
correct.
that you're approaching somebody. I do want to acknowledge Anthony Brown 7061 said that's performative. Confidence is who you are, not what you do. Spitting game is not authentic. I agree. Be yourself. And again, if they like you, they will. If they don't, they won't. It's okay. Move on. There's going to be another person. Women have reclaimed their natural power, and men are having a hard time reconciling that. Absolutely, absolutely
Come on,
understand
Anthony.
that. And then,
Super
yes, when
bar.
he was talking about what you were saying about women, yes, being a human being, super important. There was some comments that I do want to acknowledge. Brooke said, "Live in real life, touch grass." Absolutely. Zombie Certified said, "I stay getting me too'd by paraplegic cougars. Ish crazy." Wow, you wild. He's tough. He's tough. And then Brooke said, on the other side, I think healthy communication skills is important because everybody is different, and some women like approaches that others don't. Women should be able to tell strangers that they don't like, absolutely, or what they don't like. I think that's what you meant. Absolutely, the approach, but also safety is a key factor in a lot of these situations. 100%. And then the real Johnson said that was necessary, not an object or possession. So yeah, so definitely some good comments. It looks like a lot of us are on the same page in regards to that. And then
Yeah.
Terrence hopped in. Terrence Leonard Jr. 2940. Appreciate you being on here. Said it reminds me of how white folks used to talk to black people. Now we demand respect, and they still push back. Hence 47. 100%. We could do a deep dive on
Come
that.
on,
Just
Terrence.
that in and of itself. So I
And
want to
let me
say
say
thank you.
this.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the way that you decide to speak to another human being, whether you find them attractive, whether you want to network with them, whatever it is that is your motive, how you speak to them is a reflection of yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you automatically approach somebody wanting to get something from them, or coming off with that kind of energy of desperation or demand or dominance in that way, to the wrong person, or really to the right person, you're gonna get pushback, because it's like, why do you feel entitled to my time, to my energy, etc., off of just because you decided to approach me? And I think on both sides of the fence for it, right, with men and women, I think there's opportunities for more women to be confident in approaching men without, um, I guess, the fear of rejection. Men have been normally, right, the ones to approach. That's been historically how it has gone. Does that mean it's the right thing? Does that mean it's the only way? No. But I think there's opportunities for women to feel or to really step into their confidence. And if there's somebody that you want to approach and speak to, that you can start to exercise that right that you also have to be able to put yourself out there. We need more opportunities for rejection. You get what I'm saying? Both sides. And to be able to even facilitate, what does it look like to be rejected, and what does that mean? And doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean that you're not attractive because that person doesn't want to speak to you. Doesn't mean you're broke because she called you broke, or does it mean that you're not attractive as a woman because he said no to you. I think when it comes to the fears that we have around what, like, how we're gonna be in relationship with one another now, it's like we have to challenge the fear, and the only way that you get through a fear is to be able to move through it, and you can't do it by being avoidant. And I think when it comes to our I guess the expectation of, like, before you even approach anybody, what are you expecting out of this? You get what I'm saying? Because to me, you're better off not expecting anything and you just honoring what you're saying you feel and what you want to do. So if I think this person is attractive, I'm not expecting he's giving me his number. I'm not expecting that he doesn't have a girlfriend or none of that. I just want to go approach him. And that means putting myself in a vulnerable position. And how many people are willingly stepping into vulnerability by being themselves and being honest with that and saying, this is detached. I could tell you you're attractive and I would like like to get to know you and have no like feel no way about you saying you actually are already taken or you're not interested, etc. I think again we need to practice that more, because from women having or receiving adverse reactions to being or to rejecting somebody, and that man getting violent, or that man getting aggressive, or that man being like, I didn't want to mess with you anyway. All of those things are a reflection of what's going on with him internally, and why rejection is something that he cannot manage. You get what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, and I think this new comment from Anthony also kind of follows up with what you're saying. It's like holding on to antiquated paradigms while expecting different results is insane. We are not our ancestors. The atmosphere has changed, right? So you have to do some reflection in how your approach is. Just because this worked 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, doesn't mean it's going to work now. And we have to recognize that people have adjusted and learned a lot through their experience, through social media, through talking to their friends, their communities. They've adjusted, right? And so the way that maybe somebody would have done something 10, 20 years ago doesn't mean that's the way now. Like you said, back in the day, women didn't feel comfortable slapping a man's hand away when they touch their waist and say, come here, right? Like, but now they do.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that women are wrong for slapping your hand, because in reality, you was wrong for touching him in the first place because you don't know him, right? So you have to adjust. And I think that people who don't are the ones that end up on left out, you know what I mean? In a
Right.
lot of different ways, a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. Or end up doing something that they can't take back. And it was
Exactly.
captured. And it was captured. Someone put the screenshot up, they put the video up or whatever. And so either you get with the program or you get lost, really, especially
Right.
in this age of social media, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because I
Okay.
know me and my girls talk about it. Like, let me be honest.
What?
Me and my
Talk about
girl,
it. Yeah.
yeah, me and the girls, we talk about if you're a weirdo, and your
Do
name will
you?
go
Oh, I bet.
around.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
I
saying? Like if it's a repeated experience that women have with certain people, oh yeah, we know. And so that's why being in a community is important, and vice versa. I think it should be the same thing, that form of vetting, to understand what are like the normal behaviors that this person not only showcased to me, but showcased to other women that he was quote unquote attracted to.
No doubt. Yeah. That I know. I got enough. I got enough homegirls to know that, like, yeah, the weirdos are. It's very clear, like very clear as
Yeah.
day, and they tell their guy friends too. Just a heads up.
Yeah.
Like, so if
Y'all
you
me
don't
or
know,
so and
if you
so.
Oh yeah, cause so and I'm just telling you, as one of those guy friends, we be waiting to see you do something in public in front of us. Just
Yeah.
waiting to do that weirdo. Because a lot of times, dudes feel comfortable doing the weird stuff when it's just a woman by herself, right? But then when they get
Right.
other people that they know can really, you know what I mean, be a physical threat to them, then that's when they start to tighten up, you know what I mean,
Okay.
and change their ways.
And it's like what like there wasn't enough time to reconcile. You get what I'm saying? Of people being, like I said, being self-reflective. Because even if you as a person were not the ones doing the behavior, maybe you were with somebody that was, and you didn't say nothing, right? You didn't step in. You didn't speak to them on the side. You didn't try to correct it. You didn't try to step up or speak up or advocate for somebody else. And I think that all has to be reconciled before we can actually move forward in a more like honest collective way. Because I think a lot of people can be honest about that, whether it be where 10 years ago when something was normalized, where today they homeboy would have got canceled a long time ago, right? But back then it wasn't as urgent of a deal.
Mhm.
I mean, we see all the things with Diddy, with R. Kelly, with all kind of stuff. People were around, people knew, and so
Mhm.
things were just became what was normal and what didn't need to be exposed. And now, yeah, it's a new age for sure. And don't let
No
me get
doubt.
started with the babies. That's who I work with a lot the most, is the youth, and they not having it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They not having it.
They know they seeing a lot. I do want to acknowledge this comment says women are no longer dependent on men. You have to be whole and safe. The entitlement is ruining relationships. You cannot fake it till you make it anymore. Potential has to be in action, not ideal. Definitely a great comment. And then Brooke said, "Yeah, you're a weirdo." And it said, "I'm gonna wait here until my wife holler at me before I be on the T app." The T app is a whole nother conversation, but that's for another day. Um,
Woo.
yeah, that
Don't
is
get
for
me
another day.
started with the
Um,
T-app.
but I do want to talk about the tonight's conversation, right? That was the other group or other
Mhm.
situation that I wanted to do. I feel like, and I'll start first, and then you could tell me if you know what your perspective is on that. But
Okay.
for those who aren't familiar with tonight's conversation, it's basically a traveling panel of hosts that go from city to city, and it's basically they have a forum, right, where people come up and they ask questions about the relationship, really to get relationship advice. And so my take on the tonight's conversation, I feel like it's the reverse of how I feel with Kevin Samuels, right? With Kevin Samuels, I'm like, the bomb was dropped in 2020, and we're still trying to, right now we're in the negative side of things, trying, like, people are just attacking each other on social media. Men ain't shit, women ain't shit, and you ain't this and you ain't that, right? I think that people are kind of attacking each other, but I think later on, my hope is that later on we will look back at the conversations and recognize that, he did have some good points, even though, his approach might have been terrible. Some of the things he said might have been like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to say that, right?
Mhm.
But the whole purpose of the conversation in and of itself was necessary, and allows people to look back and say, okay, I could do better as a human being, as a person, right? For tonight's conversation, I feel like it's the opposite. I think that there are a lot of people who are listening to these individuals give them their advice, and I think a lot of people in the right now are like, yes, I needed to hear that. Thank you. Like, that's right there. Yes, you're right on the money. You're giving me advice to help me. That's going to make my relationship be perfect now. And then I think over time, later on, they'll look back and was like, I think they owe me some money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
Yeah.
they'll look back and be like, I think I just got played. Like, I really think they told me what I wanted to hear so
Mm.
I could keep buying their content. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
Yeah.
that's personally the way that I kind of feel about tonight's conversation. I do think that there are some individuals who ask really genuine questions, who are just really looking for some advice to help, right? And
Yeah.
help and support in how to, improve their relationship. But I do think that these ace metaphor, which again I can go into a whole nother long conversation about ace metaphor, but
Okay.
besides that, I do think it's intentionally meant to keep you invested in what they have to say. And I
Mm.
think they intentionally respond and answer questions. Now, I will say this: I've never been in person to any of their live forums, and
Mhm.
that's just me personally. So I will say I am speaking only from the things that I've been able to gather over time on YouTube and Instagram and whatever, because I'm not paying them to
Mhm.
listen to their content. I just don't care enough. I only do for what's free. uh,
Yeah.
but I think that they're intentionally trying to market to a particular group of people who many of them might have real issues, but
Mhm.
most of the panels are just there for entertainment, but they're playing as if they're truly there to help. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Oh, yeah, it's tricky. I also have not been there in person. I've seen quite a few of their clips. I've been made aware of the different drama that took place between the panelists, right, and the type of abuse and neglect that was going on there on the business side of things, and relationally. And so I think, anytime that you are able to weaponize and profit off of people's stories and trauma and not actually be able to support them in real ways, it's always a red flag to me. So you have these moments of giving really um so a lot of it I've seen almost comes from like a fake clinical lens, about what's actually going on in this form of trying to diagnose somebody without really doing a full assessment. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really do a full assessment when somebody's just hopping on a mic and telling you one scenario they're experiencing from their point of view. And I think it's irresponsible to do that. It is irresponsible to do that. Yeah, can you provide some surface level advice, encouragement, some rules of thumb, right, to be able to teach people what are some basic things that could apply in almost any scenario? For sure. But that's not what they do. They use the stories, from my understanding. The people come up, they share their business on a live platform in front of all of these people. The people pay to be there. I don't even know how much the tickets are for them to be there. And then you have this panel of five people who, from my understanding, are not credentialed. From my understanding, do not have extensive work or hours contributed to being able to support relationships or mental health. And so for me, that's all that, you get what I'm saying? Like, that is the red flag in and of itself, is what qualifies these people to be able to speak over your life and your situation in a way just because it sounds good. You get what I'm saying? There's so many cute quotes and phrases that people love to use on the internet, right? That are like written quotes, or that are just some super, like, like, for example, when somebody's like, if they wanted to, they would. And that sounds so good. And I know you want to believe that. Like,
Right,
I
but that
know
ain't
you
the
want
truth.
to believe that. But that's just not true. Like, that's not actually how this works. And so it's hard to to let people know that, of like,
You forgot to tell them
no,
that you was going to put them through hell, so that's why they won't.
come on, come on. So many other contributing factors that a stranger could not speak to. And so, that is what is important to me in regards to the education piece, from both the political education lens to the psychoeducation lens, that people should be equipping themselves so that they can, that, like, it's really hard to victimize you or to use or manipulate you for your dollar, for your attention, because you're armed with knowledge to be able to protect yourself. And you're not just taking anybody's advice because they're trying to keep you in this cycle of paying them, right, or coaching them, etc. Any good coach, on any level, right, it wants to give you the skills so that eventually you don't need them anymore. You get what I'm saying? So that you can start to do it on your own, that you could practice these skills on your own. So yeah, there's a lot about that show that definitely raises red flags for me, for sure.
Man, yeah, you was hitting it. I don't know. You and Anthony been on the money with each other as well. He said that's why reading and educating yourself is important. Discernment is a skill. No one can give you that. Addressing the bad fruit and not the roots will never change the outcome of bad fruit. 100%. We just don't go deep enough, right? We don't go deep
Yeah.
enough to really assess what the real problem is. Because, and I did a series about this, about mental health. I think last year I did a series of Wise Word Wednesdays, one about mental health, right? I talked about, it's like, I know people who went to therapy and didn't change. And a lot of people like are like, oh, I've been to therapy. I'm therapized, right? Like I've done
It
all
don't
this stuff,
work.
right? It don't work. And it's like, no, it works. But people forget that a therapist, their only knowledge of your circumstances is what you tell them. So
Yes.
this means if you go into therapy and says such and such did me shady, that's all the context that they have is what
Right.
you built, right? Like, and oftentimes people don't recognize, but people can lie to their therapists. Like, you can
Oh,
go in there and make up fake scenarios about to validate why you're right,
yeah.
as opposed to doing the work and telling the truth and recognizing that maybe you were wrong in this instance, and you don't, because you don't want to be called out, you choose to manipulate the information that you're given. And so I think
Oof.
it a lot of people have to recognize we don't have enough information to truly assess whether or not you're making a good decision or a bad decision. If I have 30 seconds to summarize my entire relationship with a person that I've been with for 5 years, you're probably not going to get any of the details that are most critical to determining what you should do. If I just
Absolutely.
say my partner doesn't like me, my girl, she doesn't like me, so I'm just telling you, so what should I do? Of
Yeah.
course I'm gonna be like, well, then leave. Like, the
Right.
person advising me, because they don't have the details. Oh, she doesn't like me because I beat her every night. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she doesn't like me because I don't appreciate her. I don't know. I don't tell her that I appreciate her. She doesn't like me because I always say I'm coming home at 10 o'clock and then I come home at 6 in the morning. Like, yeah, she doesn't like me for those reasons, but because I didn't give the details,
Mhm.
all I said was, oh, I'm the victim. How can you help me? Right. And so
Yeah.
that's, I think, like I feel like Kevin Samuels was more so critiques disguised as entertainment. I feel
Mhm.
like tonight's conversation is more so entertainment disguised as critique, if that makes sense. And so I think that a lot of people are going there for critique. They're going there for help and support and things like that. What do I need to do? But in reality, all they do is they're fed what they want to hear in an entertaining way so
Mhm.
that they can, the tonight's conversation people can profit, and so that other people can look at that and say, "Ooh, I want to be hyped up as well. I want to be told how good I am. I want to be
Right.
told that this he or she doesn't deserve me, or they need to get their stuff together. So let me go on this show and put my relationship and my partner on blast, or
Right.
myself on blast in front of the world, so that I can get 2 words of "go ahead boy" or "go ahead girl," and then I move on, and then everybody else remembers how terrible my relationship is, and I'm the person that's like, I don't know, it's just, to me it's just bad. I don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's how can therapy work if you don't work? And people people want to skip that part. You think therapy is supposed to fix you? No, therapy is all about showing a mirror to you. And so if you want to manipulate that mirror, if you want to be delusional when you step into that room, there's a limit to what a therapist could do. They are not a miracle worker.
Right.
They are one form of a type of healer. You don't have to only go to therapy in order to be able to get support on what you're experiencing or be able to process some of the things that you've been through or have done, right? And so it's one modality that is important that I've used that to me has helped me for sure. But it's not the only one. And so thinking that you can just get this quick fix that people are so addicted to, right? They want somebody to just give them the one solution, right? One solution to their money problems, one solution to their relationship problems, one solution to why they don't like themselves. And it's just, that's just not how it works. So being honest about that is being able to call out the people who are trying to push that and being like, what are y'all doing? And then two, being able to provide an alternative to say, actually, the work looks more closer to this. And even me, as a flawed human that I am, even I don't have all the answers. So I'm just sharing with you what I've been able to collect through my study, what I've been able to collect through my experience in the community, and I hope that it could be of service to you. But it should never be, oh, I'm going to be the person that fixes your life. If anybody is telling you that, or anybody's presenting their information or their content as that, immediate red flag.
Right.
Immediately.
Right. Like you the guru that got all the answers.
Right.
Meanwhile, you ain't
Okay.
got no relationship, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
no evidence for nothing.
Which is crazy. I do want to acknowledge a couple of comments. Drinks on Ant said underscore said, talk that shit, y'all. You have to go to therapy with surrender and vulnerability. Absolutely. They can't tell anyone. Aaron out, and then Brooks said, Brooks said airing out their own dirty laundry is insane. Yeah, yeah. I think people are chasing fame and notoriety. I think, and it's clear as day, and a lot of people, sadly, and I mean, people have always, this is since the beginning of time, people have always chased fame and notoriety, but I think it's just more heightened and elevated now because so many more people have access to the ability to get to it. Before, it was like you
Right.
had to be in certain rooms to get that fame, that notoriety, or you had to be lucky, or you had to work for a long period of time. I think now you can, if you record the right video and the algorithms hit your, I mean, hit you,
Mhm.
boom, you got instant stardom. And so I think people are looking for that. Because you can go on to tonight's conversation and be featured, and if they tag you, or you can go on to Pop the Balloon Show, and if your Instagram is, handle is listed, people gonna holler, right? And so that
Right.
does increase your chances of potentially finding someone, right? It increases your chances in regards to your pool that you
Right.
have. But I think what a lot of people have to recognize is that it also minimizes your actual chances of finding the person you're supposed to be with. So
Mhm.
yes, you have a larger pool to pull from, but your chances of finding the one you were supposed to be with is actually shrunk, because now you can't tell the difference between who wants you because of because of what they think you are, right? Versus what you actually are. A lot of people fall in love with the aesthetic of
Mhm.
you. Like, they like you because you make $300,000 a year, not because of you as an individual. They like you because you fine, not because of you, right? They like
Right.
what the image of what you present looks like, and they fall in love with that. So they've already got it in their mind what you are before they even got to know you. So it makes it much more difficult to try to filter that, and you're going to put yourself potentially, because I can't speak for everybody, but potentially cause yourself to have to suffer through more heartache and trauma and pain because you've exposed yourself now to such a larger pool of people.
Come on. Come on. Like, be careful what you ask for when you get on these platforms. Because definitely all of that could come your way for sure. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're ill equipped or you don't have the tools to be able to exercise your discernment, like you said, it's just you're 10xing your exposure to certain bullshit.
Yep. Yep. And just look at the celebrities and see how happy they are in their relationships. Brooks said the lack of community building has also contributed to people wanting to be known online. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly agree. And then Drinks on Ant said the brain loves familiarity, a novelty, excitement. That good dopamine is not real. Real happens a lot of the time when things get challenged. Then he said, hello. They said, hello, dating apps.
Okay.
100%. 100%. I know I've kept you longer than originally expected. I don't know if you, I guess we can start wrapping things up. What are your, any types of thoughts or things that you want to point out, or is there anything that you're like, hey, we forgot to talk about this? I'm still open to keep talking if you want to, but anything you want to bring up or talk about.
Yeah, I think the last thing is just around solutions, right? Like what are we contributing to the ears listening to us if we don't leave them with some things that we think are a part of that healing process, a part of that reconciliation amongst men and women in relationships? Because ultimately, my goal, right, is unionship. Like, that's what I want to see more for people. I think we're better off when we have other people that we can care for, that care for us, that we can respect, that they respect us. I think we're just better individuals for it. We're better stewards of the things that we're supposed to do in life when we have community. And community could be romantic, it could be platonic, but the relationship between men and women, just aside from being romantic, it's a relationship period. When you have friends, right? When you're a brother or you're a sister, whether you're a son, you're a daughter, you're still in relationship with that other gender in more ways than one. And so I think broadening our perspective on what that means and why is it important to really dismantle and call out the war amongst the different genders. It goes beyond romantic. And so that's what, yeah, I want to talk about some of the solutions. You get what I'm saying? For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So what do you think would be uh the top three things, and not necessarily in order of first to last, but what do you think are the top three things people can do or should do to work towards having one, getting rid of the gender wars
Mhm.
idea, or just work towards having better dynamics between people with the other gender, people of the other gender?
Mhm. Great question. I'm about to, because I've been taking notes while we've been talking,
No
for
doubt.
sure. And I think one of the solutions I'm gonna start with. I'm not gonna do it in order, but definitely I'm gonna start with is political education.
Mm,
Having the historical context that can inform why things are the way that they are or how we even got to this point is going to be super helpful for anybody wanting to explore more about the conditions of where they are now, where they're going, and then how we kind of all are in relationship with one another. That's one. So the political education part is one. The second one would definitely be that internal work, that shadow work, doing the work necessary to heal our own trauma, doing the inventory of some of the things that have impacted us and our beliefs, right? Our attachment styles, all of that stuff in regards to psychoeducation is something that you do not need a credential to learn about, right? You can study people with the credentials. You can use the resources that they've written, that they developed interviews for, and content for, to kind of understand how our brain works, how understand how trauma shows up in our body. to understand what trauma even is, right? So a lot of people don't even know they're traumatized because what was done or what they experienced was just what always happened in their family. They don't know that their body had a full traumatic reaction to that impacts them to this day. So I think doing that work is crucial for sure. It's not easy. Like, it is a reason why people avoid it, right? Because you're going to a place that you need some tools to be able to get out of. And then the third one is accountability. Okay, accountability, so that we can get ultimately to the bigger goal, which is that community support. Man, if we don't want to hold up a mirror to the ways in which we perpetrate some of the things that we've experienced that have been done to us, we're in that echo chamber, right? We're just trying to get things that we want to hear, that we're seeking for that confirmation bias. We're seeking out content that just affirms what we already think is right or what we already believe. But self accountability, right, is a part of doing the work. It's a part of wanting to learn about different perspectives, wanting to diversify our resources and our sources for information. And so, as much as we want to point to other people for being the problem for different things, before you can even to get to ourselves, right, to get to what are the things that we suffer from, we definitely have to understand what was done to us. But then the other side of that coin is, what are we doing to ourselves? What are we participating with or in that we're not even knowing we're participating in? What are we perpetrating that we are done with? We're over it. Like, I think people are getting to a point, and I think that's where we see a lot of this isolation that is a catalyst of, for me, capitalism, right, is a catalyst of why people are thinking that they could do it all on their own while they're moving away from communities, like Brooke said, why people are just wanting to have their own little lives that they can control the narrative of. That's a part of wanting to avoid the work. So, yeah, that would be my top three: political education, healing our trauma, and accountability.
So in those three, do you have some examples of how folks where can people get that, like, political education for historical context, which again, I personally think is if you don't understand the historical, political, capitalist context, then you're missing probably 90% of why we are the way we are right now. I think that's critical, right? Like, if you don't understand the dynamic of what slavery, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, school to prison pipeline, civil rights, all, if you don't understand those, or know, at least have some depth knowledge about those, it is almost impossible to accurately view or have an accurate lens of what the gender wars look like in reality. You're looking more so at the micro as opposed to the macro if you don't have that political, social understanding of the historical context of our relationship. So where are things that that, in your opinion, that people can go to get the political context? What is it that people can do to get that internal work done? And then how can individuals be more accountable in this healing journey? And it's okay if you don't have only want to elaborate on one. You can elaborate on all three. It's up to you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna do my best. For the political education part, definitely, if you want to study themes, if you want to study different movements, you're definitely obviously going into civil rights. You're understanding what happened while African enslaved people were brought to the U.S., right? Brought to the U.S. and other and throughout the diaspora under enslavement. Like, you want to learn about that. I mean, we don't want to learn about that, right? It's traumatic to even uncover what actually happened to our people and how we were dispersed. But we can't look past that. That definitely plays a part into why we are the way we are now. And going back beyond that, learning the history of the African nations that we were taken from, whether you know where you were taken from or not. And when I say you, I'm talking about your ancestors. Learning what were the conditions of Africa before imperialism, right? Before neocolonialism, what were people doing? How advanced were their civilizations? Because our history is so rich. Black people are so incredibly powerful, and there's a reason why we were disrupted the way that we were. So that's one. Then going into like different ideologies around communism, going into Pan-Africanism, going into the history of the Black Panthers. Learn about the people that set the foundation for a lot of the theories that we say are going to be some of the solutions for our people. And so you're talking about Marcus Garvey, you're talking about Kwame Nkrumah, Kwame Ture. Kwame Ture is one of my favorites in regards to just our political ideologies, in regards to the solutions we think are possible for our people. Lumumba, there's a ton. That's where it's like it gets frustrating on my end, because I'm like, yo, our people left so many gems that people are just refusing to pick up. You know what I mean? It's like, don't get me started about the wannabe allies who are like, what should we do? Pick up the books of my ancestors first before you come and talk to me about what you think you should be doing. Kwame Ture, I think it was Kwame, or it might have been Malcolm, one of the videos where it was this white woman asking like, what can she do? And he was like, nothing. Like, all you can do is
That's the Malcolm X
need to go
movie.
study. You know, you just need to go study, right? And then in regards to the understanding our trauma, doing and exploring what does it mean to be trauma informed. You're gonna run into a bunch of works that are gonna be useful for you. Even understanding off the top of my head, post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? And understanding even that has its roots in psychology of how we're uncovering what happened to our people, how it impacts us today, and how it has impacted our DNA on a cell level. That's just a few to start with the healing part of it, right? Is understanding it's going to be healing for you to learn more about your people and learn more about, okay, there's a reason why things are the way that they are. And I mean, I know all of them, but I know some of them that I didn't before. So you equipping yourself with knowledge and information allows you to show up more powerfully and intentionally with yourself and with the people you care about. And then the accountability piece was that reflection of being able to, not just hold space for the ways in which we may have perpetrated certain things upon ourselves and or others, but being able to go through that process of grief and forgiveness, because that's the way that we're going to move forward. Whether you've made mistakes about the type of people you've chosen to be in relationship with or the things that you've done, your reflection of yourself, how you view yourself in the mirror, shows up in how you treat people regardless. Like, there's no way around it, in my opinion. And so being able to hold a mirror to yourself and choose to love on yourself is a radical decision. You know what I mean? Because none of us are perfect. All of us are flawed. All of us have done different things that we're not proud of. And so being able to still love yourself and show compassion to yourself is one of the first steps to being able to show compassion to anybody else, for sure.
Bombs. Bombs. Yeah. I think there's straight gems out there, but I think you got to be willing to do the work though. You know what I mean? Like it's easy to say, kind of like you mentioned with the whole Malcolm X scene. It's like it's easy to say, how can I help? But what happens when we tell you? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with that information, right? Like if I give you all the books to study and you never read them, what was the point?
That part.
What was the point? And I think a lot of us, and I say us because again, I'm included in this. A lot of us, we want things, but we act like we don't need to. But in reality, we need these things.
Yeah.
We should act like we don't want to, but we need these things. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, and so the work starts not when you realize that there's a problem. The work starts when you start working towards the solution. That's just the beginning to say, I want to be, I want to have better relationships. That's the beginning, right? Accepting that the relationship is bad. I want to be better. Okay, cool. Now it starts working when it's like, okay, what have I done to cause these relationships to be bad? Oh, did this. Okay, how do I change it? And a lot of people stop after they recognize what they've done bad, because they think, now that I know I did bad in this area, I'm
Mm-hmm.
aware of it now, so I'll be fine. When in
Mm-hmm.
reality, it's like, no, 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 because you do that when your emotions are heightened. You
Yeah.
do that when you're in a state of frustration or when you're fearful or things like that, because it brings you back to that traumatic experience
Right.
that you had before, which is essentially like you trying to protect yourself. That's what your body is doing. It's trying to
Yep.
protect itself. And so you're causing yourself to respond in a particular way. The issue or the work starts when you're saying, okay, where did that originate from? Like, where did that feeling that I'm
Yeah.
having, where did that stem from? Okay, how does that impact me now? Oh, it does impact me. Okay, so then the next time that you get into this, you have to stop. All right, let me stop. Let me take a couple of deep breaths.
Yeah.
Let me process what's happening right now before
Mm-hmm.
I respond to it. You know what I mean? Because my mom's used to say all the time, she used to say, Spider, she said, dogs react, humans respond. Which one are you? You know what I
Mm.
mean? And she would tell me, you react too much. Somebody say something to you, you trying to fight. You can't do that all the time. When somebody say something to you, stop and
Right.
ask yourself, what are they trying to get at? What's the reason? How does
Mm-hmm.
how did this make me feel? Why did it make me feel that way? Before just walking up and slapping somebody. Like you have to be
Okay.
able to
As much
that
as we want to.
as much as you want to. It doesn't mean that the feeling of wanting to changes. It doesn't mean the
That
wanting to
part.
slap them. That feeling doesn't change, but the way that you respond to that feeling. Now you don't, because if you just respond to or react to it, you're giving the other person the ability to have power over you.
Exactly. Exactly. They could just say whatever they want to get a reaction out of you. But we don't
Mhm.
understand that that's us releasing our control and the domain that we have over our own bodies, ourselves, right? And so if sovereignty is a goal for you, being able to have a say so in what you do, how you do it, when you do it, that emotional regulation piece, it makes you a whole new a force to be reckoned with. You get what I'm saying? And I think
Mhm.
that's the piece of it is sometimes people are not buying into why the work is so important. You're going to do incredible things, even if you are at a place right now where you're like, I'm cool and I'm good. I haven't done none of that, right? I haven't done none of the healing, the past healing work. I haven't done the political education. I'm fine. I'm doing well for myself. What if you wanted to do even better? You know what I'm saying? That's to me what the mindset is about. Is how can I constantly do better and be better, not just for myself, but for the people that I'm going to be in community with. Whether I'm a parent, whether I'm a lover, whether I'm a teacher, a coworker, a friend, we need these skills. And so yeah, we've come a long way. We've been able to survive a lot with not having the skills. And now it's about seeing if we want to see different conditions for our people, what can we do differently and how can we constantly improve where we're at as individuals. And then obviously, naturally, once multiple individuals are doing something, that makes a collective doing something. And so we're much stronger and much more powerful together.
Well said. Well said, 100%. I want to acknowledge a couple of these comments as well. Oh, shout out. Let's see. Here we go. uh, Drinks on Ant said literacy. We got to learn. We got to look at our history. We have to listen to what happened to us. We have to get curious about why. It's imperative to undo the damage. Read what happened from 1949 to 1980. Look at film and music. They tell stories white people missed. That's why we have such excellent pattern recognition. And then Spider need a sound bar to drop them bombs. Oh, I actually got one. I just keep forgetting. I'm sorry, y'all. I've been away for a while. I've been away. I do have my book. Hold on. There we go. There we go. There we go. My bad. I got the sound bar. I got to get back into it. I'm a little rusty. It's my first time recording again for 2026. But yeah. So I
Hey.
definitely hit the like button as well too. And if you haven't already, go to the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel, subscribe, so you can definitely get more content like this. Again, this has been a really dope conversation. But we're almost at 2 hours. I told her, I said we was gonna be going for 45 minutes to an hour. We're at 2 hours. So clearly, my bad for taking up much time. But the conversation was necessary, and I feel like we're still kind of scratching the surface on the whole the gender wars, but I think one of the things that you and I both agree on is it's enough. Like we've
Yeah.
seen enough of us attacking each other on social media, downplaying each other, down talking each other, just um minimizing each other's importance and each other's value. Um and again, I'm guilty of seeing it, reposting it, of tagging it, sending it. I'm guilty of those things as well too. So I'm not trying to come at this like as if I'm perfect and everybody else has been doing wrong. But I think that both of us agree it's like it's time to stop because we're doing the slave masters work for them.
That part.
You know what I mean? We're really causing the division in our own home, that's literally been perpetuated, or we're perpetuating the division that's been caused by those who recognize how powerful we are together.
Right.
And so that's super critical.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. Like at a certain point, um, we are continuing the damage if we're not interrupting it. And so drawing our attention back, saying, you know what, I'm taking my power back. Yes, I've been super interested in all the drama, all the chaos, right? Falling victim to different things, contributing to certain things. And I think, like you said, enough's enough. I love my brother, I love my sister, then I got to show that with the type of diligence and the type of work that I'm willing to do, to learn about how to mend these relationships and how to show up more intentionally with my brother, with my sister. And so I think if you are on that type of time, let your work, right, show that. Let how you treat yourself and how you treat other people show that, because yeah, clocks ticking. So everybody has to pay for what they've done. That's how I look at everything. Is everything everybody has to pay for whatever it is they did or did not do. And who judges that, what judges that, I'm gonna leave that to everybody else to decide. But ultimately I think that energy that you put out there, you will find it. You will find it. And so we want it to be as positive as possible. We want it to be as loving and empathetic and real as possible. So I'm dedicated to the truth. I know that you are. So I'm honored to be here and to share space with you, and to continue to have these conversations that I think are really important.
No doubt, no doubt. I appreciate you, and again, appreciate everybody that's tuned in this evening. Do you have anything coming up soon that you want to let the people know about? Any events, any workshops, or anything like that you got going on?
Yeah, so I started this group for women called Found Her Space, and so really it's a place for women who are leaderships in their own in leadership in their own right. Whether you are building a business, whether you're trying to build up your family, whether you're trying to build up your own legacy, whatever it is that you're intentionally doing the work for, I wanted to create a space for women who are doing that intentional work, and so we focus a lot on the mental health aspect, providing resources and context so that women feel empowered to show up more powerfully in their lives, in their communities, and still tend to their own needs. A lot of times, the women who are building, whether it be a business or building for their families, or just trying to be a better woman altogether, those are usually the strong friends, right? Those are usually the people who are doing a lot of things to the neck. And so creating that space was intentional to be able to pour back into women who are pouring out to others. And so if you're interested in something like that, definitely hit the link in my bio on my Instagram and you can sign up there for a founder space. And yeah, the first one of the year is going to be February 21st. It's a Saturday morning. So hope to see you.
No doubt, no doubt. Definitely, yeah. Spam her stuff. Like everybody flood her, found her space, you know what I'm saying? So that way, we can get the word out because a lot of folks can benefit from it and need it, whether they might not even know that they need it, but that doesn't mean that they don't, you know what I mean? Like once you get there, I'm pretty sure you'll start to recognize like, oh yeah, I need this. I've been missing this. Like,
Hey, and
yeah.
that's the thing, like the solutions that I was saying that I believe are important. I think one of the most powerful vessels for doing it is to do it in community, to not
Mhm.
to be in isolation and think you have to do it all on your own. There's a lot of good information out there, a lot of people with resources and knowledge and wisdom, and just like the foundation of Wise Word Wednesdays, it is communal. It's about sharing and giving. And so, yeah, doing all of that in community is crucial to our well being, to our mental health, to the well being of our people for sure.
Yeah, and again, going back to the history, right? Like we've never done anything in isolation. Like we've always, from a historical context, as a community, have always elevated. Now, there have been individuals who might have done something by themselves, but we've always been as a community. We've always done well when we're working with each other to help elevate. So I definitely encourage you all. Thank you again for your willingness to come on and have the conversation. I'm pretty sure we're gonna at some point have a part two to because I think we're gonna go back and rewatch this and be like, oh, I should have said that. You know what? Let's bring up this or something like that. But thank you for having the conversation with me. Part two, I'm sure is gonna happen sometime later. And yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that watched on whether you watched on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitch Live, Instagram Live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm looking forward to the next conversation.
Yes, thank you. It's all love. Thank you everybody for being here, for contributing to the conversation. We definitely need you too. So I look forward to coming back for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, we fresh, and I
Hey.
love y'all. Y'all be smooth. Get some sleep tonight.